Alto scores and one. Wendell picks it off, a shot and a goal. The third time tonight. Ball is stripped and there's Laurinaitis with the football, and he's going to go for a touchdown.
Crevier on the header, and it's a goal!
Swings it for Bryant, three-pointer, it's good!
Swing and a miss, outside pitch. 2 strikeouts for Neshek.
Hello and welcome to our 12 Sports special presentation as we honor the 2015 inductees into our Hall of Fame. The 12 Sports Hall of Fame started in 2004 as a way to honor former outstanding coaches and athletes in the area. And let's start with a man who just wrapped up his long and successful coaching career last fall, and he went out in style. He is already a member of 2 Hall of Fames. And now we welcome longtime Wayzata boys cross-country coach Bill Miles into the 12 Sports Hall of Fame. Miles' 39-year coaching career at Wayzata came to a close last fall with a state cross-country championship, his 8th at the school. A native of St. Paul, Miles graduated from Cretin High School and then went to the University of Minnesota and ran for longtime Gophers coach Roy Griak. Bill admits he wasn't a very fast runner, and after one season at the U, he had the opportunity to coach cross-country back at Cretin. At age 19, Bill Miles was a college student and a high school varsity head coach. But he had learned a lot in his 1 year of running at Minnesota.
They were a top 10 team in the nation that year. Being able to see how they prepared, being able to see how committed they were, how they were able to focus, that was really useful for me to see. And then having Coach Griak modeling the love that he, the compassion that he had for everybody in his program. It wasn't about just winning, it was about acting with integrity and doing things the right way. Those were important lessons for a young coach to be exposed to.
After 6 years of Cretin that included 1 state championship, Bill took a job as a teacher and coach at Wayzata High School in the fall of 1976. Cross country was a sport that he loved to coach.
Coaching distance runners doesn't have the issues of squad size, it doesn't have the issues of playing time. The less gifted you are, the more playing time you're guaranteed, in cross country. So that was why it was an easy thing to gravitate towards. When you see somebody progressing from 520 to 450 to 430 to when you see that growth in terms of their development, or for that matter 610 to 550 to 530, that's exciting.
When middle school students in the Wayzata district were allowed to train with the high school runners in the late 1980s, the stage was set for the program's success. And in 1992, Wayzata won the first of those 8 state titles under Coach Miles.
Well, my old high school basketball coach told me that it doesn't matter how good of a jockey you are, you're not going to win the Kentucky Derby on a jackass. And so the reason we were successful is because I got to work with really talented, motivated kids who fed off each other. And the role that I would have had in facilitating that was maybe bringing them together and giving them the freedom to become as good as they wanted, as they were capable of becoming or trying to do that.
20, 21, 22, 23.
He figured out things that you can really only figure out by coaching for as long as he did. And so, in college, I've learned a lot of things, but I really come to appreciate the mentality that he had in high school. He really instilled respect for the sport, respect for the other athletes you're competing against, and but he really made sure that we had our priorities straight, and I think that was the best thing that he instilled in us.
Bill was also an assistant coach in track and field at Wayzata, and for a brief time, the program's co-head coach. But it was in the fall where you could see Bill at practices and meets, coaching with humor, but always with a purpose.
The purpose, we're there for a reason, and the reason is for everybody to get better, and it doesn't matter whether you're a 7-minute miler or a 4:09 miler, whatever it might happen to be, we're there to get better.
Dozens of Bill's former runners have gone into coaching. Closer to home, his daughter Elizabeth also followed the path into education. She's building her own coaching dynasty. Wayzata's girls swimming has won 2 straight state class AA championships.
I think I learned everything from him. I mean, everything that I know as a coach, I feel I learned from my father. And I don't want to do a disservice to the other coaches that I had in my life, because they also were great honors to me, and I hold those coaches dear in my heart as well. But I mean, my father is my #1 coach. I still actually go to him.
Oh, I love seeing her coach. In fact, it's I remarked to my wife, her mother, when they won their first high school league state title, that I hadn't felt that overwhelmed emotionally since maybe my first one.
Fully retired now from both teaching and coaching, Bill says he'll still follow Wayzata cross country and track. And as for that beard that he's had for decades, well, that will be sticking around.
Probably about 78 or so I had the beard, and I shaved it once. And Elizabeth was maybe about 4 years old. My daughter was about 4 years old, and she started crying when she saw that I'd shaved my beard off that morning. And my wife didn't particularly like the way I looked anyway. Without the beard, the beard covers up some flaws, apparently. It has not come off, and my wife will still occasionally kiss me, so life is good.
What a terrific guy. And it was fun to hear him talk about race strategy and all that goes into coaching cross country, and not just letting them loose and out there to run, but a certain strategy to it. And he had a lot of success. I think he downplays his own success that he had in Wayzata cross country over the years.
Yeah, a terrific coach, because he really got the athletes to believe in what they were doing and be ready for these races, but also still have some fun. He obviously has a great sense of humor, as you could see in that piece too. And we've really been blessed with some great longtime coaches in that sport in the area, including Jim Dean from Osseo, who recently passed away.
We're going to take our first break of the day, and we'll come back with more on our special. Next up, before he was winning games as a coach, our next inductee was a high school star in the area. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to our 12 Sports Hall of Fame special. Our next inductee was a quarterback, basketball star, and baseball player, and he stayed in the public eye as a prominent football coach in the area.
Olson, then back to Lamker, drives for 2 more.
He was a 3-sport standout at Armstrong and is now a successful football coach at Osseo. We welcome 1993 Armstrong graduate Derrin Lamker into our 12 Sports Hall of Fame.
Well, it was a really great honor. It's something you really don't think about, because your high school days are behind you once you get into a job and a career and have kids. But to have that opportunity to be with a lot of these other great athletes that have come through and been Hall of Famers at Cable 12, it's a really great honor.
Lamker excelled in football, basketball, and baseball for the Falcons. Sometimes it's hard to believe that it's been 20-plus years since those days.
If you see a little video and some stuff like that, you think about it and you think back to the family and the friends that you're all around, and it doesn't seem that long ago sometimes. Hopefully I can always feel that way. I think it helps for me because I'm around those high school kids every day. We won some games in football, and they were pretty bad for a while in football. And my senior year, we actually won 3 or 4 games, or I think so, something like that. That was a standout. Basketball was a lot of fun just because we were highly competitive and we were a ranked team. And we never made a state tournament, but we made the section final numerous times and won the conference.
Though he was good at both, Derrin was more known for his basketball talents than football in high school. He was a 2-time all-conference pick, all-state choice, and Mr. Basketball finalist on some very good Falcons teams. He was chosen for the Minnesota All-Star game in both sports, but bypassed the football game.
I had probably my most success in basketball as an individual and as a team.
3-sport standouts have become rare. Lamker says even in the early 90s, there was some pressure to specialize.
There was pressure back in the day. The basketball coach wanted his thing, and the football coach wanted their thing, and I knew that I wanted to play 3 sports, and I needed to do it just because I'd be bored if I wasn't doing something after school every single day. And it makes you a better, well-rounded person.
Derrin pulled off the rare feat of playing 3 sports in college, too, at Augsburg. There, football took over.
But I never thought football was going to be my thing when I was in high school. I went to college to play basketball, and the last 2 weeks before football started, the football coach talked me into it and said, hey, you know what, I'd love to have you. And I just figured out in college, and college kind of worked its way out with me, was a 6'2" guy that doesn't jump too well. He's got a decent brain, but he's not the most athletic. Football's probably just a little better sport for him, and that's what ended up working out.
From humble beginnings as a college player, quarterback Lamker led a revival for Augsburg football. He shattered most of the school passing records, earned All-American honors, and led the Augies to the MIAC title and NCAA playoffs as a senior.
Commanding leadership and one of the most competitive young men I've ever coached in my life. I mean, competition, the competitiveness, and the leadership was phenomenal. We won because we didn't have the greatest talent in the league that year, but doggone it, we had the best kids that led well and played hard.
We didn't start out well at Augsburg. We had some losing records the first couple of years, and then my junior and senior year, my junior year we actually had a losing record also, and then we went to the senior year and we won the conference and went to the national playoffs for like the first time in 69 years at Augsburg, and just to have that success and see the momentum it created.
Lamker coached as an assistant at Armstrong and Augsburg, and as offensive coordinator helped Armstrong to a great run to state in 2003.
We got to the Final Four at the Dome, and to be back at your alma mater, that was really cool. I was back there, and I was teaching there, and so I saw these kids in the hall every day, and same thing. They didn't have much success, and then we had a 2-year run there where we won the conference twice, and we went to the Dome, and we just had a lot of fun there. So that was great.
Lamker took the head football coaching job at Osseo in 2005 and has brought the Orioles back to prominence. He's been named Northwest Suburban Conference Coach of the Year 3 times. He says the blue-collar underdog mentality he had at Augsburg is carried over to Osseo.
There's a big group from Brooklyn Park and from Osseo and from Maple Grove. And some of these kids don't have much, but when they're at school, they all seem to be together as one. They feel like they fit somewhere. And that's the really neat thing that they have there. And the small town's been great. I mean, having that main street, you go to Holiday and get a pop, and literally you see most of the people, hey, how you doing, blah, 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 and you have a good time talking with that. And that's a really cool thing that most, like you said, suburbs don't have that.
Some of the same traits that Derrin Lamker showed as a player at Armstrong and Augsburg have made him a very good coach and a Hall of Famer. John, it was fun taking a look back at his playing days. Of course, we work with Derrin all the time now as a football coach, but basketball is something I remembered more about him, and he even said as much as he was going to college that he was primarily going to Augsburg to play basketball, and things really turned out well for him football-wise.
He's a great athlete back at Armstrong. I remember early in his coaching career, we talked with both of us to the late Roger Lapel at Wayzata, and he commented about Derrin when he was at Armstrong. Said, that guy's going to be a great coach, and he's turned out to be pretty good.
Yes, he's been fun to watch. Well, time for another break.
Stay with us. Straight ahead, we meet one of the area's all-time greats in girls basketball as our 12 Sports Hall of Fame special continues. Welcome back to our 12 Sports Hall of Fame special. This next athlete scored over 2,000 points in an outstanding prep basketball career, and she's still playing. Knight, 3 and 1. She helped set the foundation for success in one of the top girls basketball programs in Minnesota. 2004 Hopkins High School graduate Leslie Knight is the newest member of the 12 Sports Hall of Fame. Knight had the chance to play right away at Hopkins as a 7th grader. And for the 5 seasons that followed that, she was as tough of an opponent as there was in the Classic Lake Conference.
She was very strong, and even as an 8th grader when she first started, I was, astounded by how strong she was. And I think through that strength, she was just able to control a game, and she understood the game so well that she was just able to control things with what she had.
Brian Cosgrove took over as the team's head coach before Leslie's 8th grade year and made her a starter right away. She remembers the change around the program when he came in.
He came in with ideas and plans, and we were all of a sudden waking up at 6 in the morning in the summer, playing 5-on-5 from 6 to 7:30 or whatever the case was, and he really molded and shaped us and taught us a lot.
I'm very humbled when she says something like that, because I credit her just about to all our success here. Because without her and without her, leading the way in this program, I don't think we'd be where we are today.
As much as the 3-time All-State player helped her coach achieve success, Leslie says Brian Cosgrove helped her immensely.
He taught me dedication, discipline, organization, to be passionate about something and how to give it your all and how to pay attention to detail. So it was on the court, he taught me a lot about skill and about how to read the game, and then off the court, and just in life in general, about responsibility, dedication.
After 3rd place finishes in the state tournament in both 2002 and 2003, The Royals broke through in Leslie's senior year, winning the Class 4A tournament in 2004.
You know, it was motivation. The last couple games, it was like, how could we not give it everything we had, and how could we not go out in there and win the championship after everything, all those hours and tears and sweat and blood and Saturday film sessions and 3-hour-long practices and early mornings in the summer? How could we not go out there and finally achieve what we've been working so hard to achieve?
The road immediately after high school was tough for Leslie, basketball-wise. She had accepted a scholarship to play at the University of Minnesota, where she saw the floor just 36 minutes total in her first 2 years. But after the 2006 season, the Gophers graduated 6 players, and 5 others left the program, leaving Leslie as one of the few remaining players. She was ready.
Knight works her way to the basket, off the glass, and has to.
Luckily, during my freshman and sophomore year, I never threw in the towel, and I had always continued to work during practice, in between classes. I hadn't taken time off. I had been preparing for this opportunity, and when that opportunity came, I was ready to grab it.
It was like going from famine to feast. Leslie started every game at Minnesota her junior and senior years, playing well enough to continue her basketball career overseas. She played her first season in Switzerland.
I had a fabulous year. It was a beautiful country, the most beautiful place I've ever lived.
For the past 6 years, Leslie played professionally in Spain for 3 different teams and is headed back for a 7th season. But she says the end of her playing days are probably in sight.
My body is feeling the wear and tear a little bit. I've had some calf problems the last 4 years, so we'll see how my body does this upcoming year.
Just your right foot, back and forth.
Leslie comes home to Minnesota in the summers, working various camps and clinics, including the Carvin and Montgomery basketball camps for the last 8 years.
There you go, that's better.
I enjoy teaching and I enjoy being around the game, but I enjoy making connections with the kids. I think that's important. I think the kids like that, you know, learning their names and figuring out why they're here or what they've got going on during the summer. So I just, you know, I enjoy the game.
Well, I know for a fact she's been offered coaching jobs and she hasn't coached a day with her own team or anything like that. It would be my dream for her to come and take this program over when she decides her playing days are through. I'd love to see her come back and be a Hopkins Royal for life.
Jay, we didn't talk about it in the story, but one thing that Leslie enjoyed as a high school athlete, she was a 3-sport athlete, played soccer through her sophomore year and then softball all the way through senior, and she enjoyed that cross-training that helped her, much like Derrin Lamker, with basketball.
And I think Coach Kosgreff mentioned it too. Right now, we almost take it for granted that Hopkins is going to be right at the top every year. It wasn't always the case, and boy, she and her teammates from that time really elevated them into that next level. And what a great kid, what a great player, not a kid anymore, but right. It was when we covered her, of course, at Hopkins, and certainly had a fantastic career.
And perhaps a coach in the future. Next up, we'll meet our 4th and final Hall of Famer from the class of 2015. We're right back in a moment. We've introduced 3 of our new inductees into the 12 Sports Hall of Fame.
Our 4th new member is also the youngest. He was a 2-sport star for 3 high school seasons.
7-play Brecky dropping to throw. Good protection, looking for Martin, and he's got it, and Martin is gone. Touchdown.
He was a star receiver on the football field in the fall and lit up the scoreboard on the basketball court in the winter. 2005 Maple Grove graduate Greg Martin joins our 12 Sports Hall of Fame.
That's great. I mean, it's really a big honor being a part of Maple Grove Senior High, and football, basketball experience I've had here were life-changing. Taught me a lot about who I am as a person, and taught me a lot about teamwork, adversity, perseverance that have helped carry me on throughout my life. So I appreciate the honor. It's great.
A 3-year standout for the Crimson in both football and basketball, Martin was a confident, mature player even as a sophomore.
I remember we brought him up as a sophomore, and we're getting ready for our first game, and you know he's going to start. And I'm nervous because we just had come off a terrible season, a 2-and-whatever season, and we're up in the classroom, and I'm pacing, and I'm wringing my hands, and he looks at me and goes, "Coach, why are you so nervous?" I said, "We had a terrible season last year. I don't want that to happen again." And he goes, "Oh, don't worry about it, Coach. We got this."
I think he really steps up for them when they
Greg had more history with basketball growing up. As for his varsity career, he broke the school record for career points with 1,203 and presently is second all-time. Martin was a three-time all-conference pick and led the Crimson to the state tournament in his senior season.
Specifically within basketball, our school had been to a state tournament and gotten second place one time beforehand, but other than that, we hadn't been to the state tournament. So for us to get there, have a really good matchup against Hopkins and have a good game, started setting the tone for what this basketball program could be.
He was athletic, but a lot of guys are athletic. I think he worked harder than anyone else ever. He was always first in sprints. He would come early, stay late, and he just loved competing. He would line up. I mean, I know he did very well in football, though. He would just line up across from somebody and just say, "I'm going to beat you, and I'm going to go get that ball because I want it more than you did."
As good as he was at basketball, Martin was just as good or better in football. He still holds Crimson records for career receptions with 150, career receiving yards with 3,095, and career receiving touchdowns with 33. He gives a lot of credit to the guy on the other end of those throws, Mitch Brecky.
No, I think when you have a quarterback that can throw the ball between your numbers at any time, it was pretty easy. And that's pretty much all I did when football was catch the ball when it was thrown towards me. And I never had blazing speed. I just ran good routes and caught the ball. And so when you have a good line and a good quarterback, it's pretty easy.
Martin was a Mr. Football Top 10 finalist and earned all-state honors as a senior. He also helped the Crimson reach the state playoffs as a sophomore. He can't pick a favorite sport.
No, I really like basketball and football. I like the change of pace. I like the team aspect of football as well as basketball. But I also liked in basketball how you could take the ball to the cup if you needed a basket. So both sports are great. I still love them today. No favoritism for me.
One of his coaches, who has seen a lot of athletes come through District 279, was impressed by much more than Greg's playing ability.
I remember watching Greg walk through the lunchroom and see a special needs kid sitting there by himself. And he would be the guy who would go over there, take his lunch over there and eat with him. And it told me a lot about his character and his leadership.
After high school, Martin joined the University of Minnesota football team as a walk-on, but soon chose to end his athletic career.
I mean, I got to the University of Minnesota and I just felt like my love of the game had shifted. I really didn't feel like I was wholeheartedly in it anymore, so I decided to step away and come back to Maple Grove Senior High and coach, where I really found a passion, which led me down my career path towards education.
He may well have been a college star at a smaller school, but Greg never looked back.
No, you know, after I walked away from the football team in Minnesota, I had a couple of schools contact me, but my love was in a big school atmosphere. I loved just a lot of people, a lot of opportunities, being close to the city, so I decided to hang them up and move on with my life at that time.
After stints as a teacher and coach, Martin moved into an administrative role at Osseo High School, and this summer accepted a job as an assistant principal at Elk River High School. He has a future career path laid out.
I'd like to become a principal at the K-12 level, maybe become an educational consultant one day.
And for Greg Martin, the lessons he learned about teamwork, dedication, and hard work on the fields and courts in Maple Grove are still with him as he climbs the ladder.
What a great high school career Greg had. I think he would be a very good coach, and he said he's not ruling out the possibility of coming back to it, but as an administrator, a lot of times that doesn't fit in with the time schedule, so he's definitely got a career path in mind.
A lot of success for him, and really a hard-working kid. I think his coaches mentioned that and certainly came out on the field. Well, that'll bring our 2015 Sports Hall of Fame special to a close.
Remember, you can watch the show again online at 12.tv. Thanks to our Hall of Famers and their colleagues for their help, and thanks to our great crew for a lot of work putting this show together. Thank you for watching.